All right, so has it really come down to this? I mean, I understand when it comes to like the toy industry and all that, you know, creating the figures is hard enough, but the packaging, that's probably a whole other deal in of itself. I mean, of course, you also got the whole question behind, like the artist making them and all that. So today we're going to be talking about AI, every artist's favorite topic. Why is that? Because, I mean, not to toot my own horn, all right? I mean, this isn't entirely true, but listen, I'm just gonna say it, all right? Okay, I kind of, I kind of, I'm kind of siding with the artist a little bit, all right? I'm just gonna say it, all right? I'm also part of that group that really doesn't like the idea of AI art being generated, and then, we all know how that whole spiel goes. I've never really voiced my concerns, if I'm being honest. I probably made like maybe one or two videos in the past talking about it and stuff on this channel, but that's about it. I used to have an art, Instagram account. Wow, Instagram account. But that just kind of died down, if I'm being honest. I didn't really upload as much as I probably should have. So it's not gone, it's just kind of laying around. But enough about that. Today, not only are we going to be talking about AI, we're going to be talking about Mattel, because an article was put out a while ago saying that the Mattel's packaging on the toy shelves later this year may have been designed with the help of AI, and that's a pretty interesting one, right? So I don't think I need to explain the whole, controversy behind why it's obviously a pretty bad idea. Some people might make the argument that it's not really that bad. You can create some great stuff with it, but the problem though is when you use a computer to kind of do your job, do the job for you. I don't know, it just takes away something. And I mean, not to mention the whole job aspect too. I mean, you can only imagine how many jobs would be lost if this was the case, because a lot of companies have been in the talks of using it. I mean, heck, not to get off topic, but even Google with their stupid Gemini crap. I mean, don't even get me started with that. I mean, I don't really understand. Oh, speaking of, so during the article, while I was kind of going over it, and trust me, I had to read it like a couple of times just to make sure that this was real or something, because I was like, wait a minute, come on, out of all companies, really, Mattel? And it also hurt me so much considering that He-Man, Masters of the Universe, out of all properties are getting involved in this. Like, are you kidding me? Since back in the day, during the 80s or so, they've been not just for their figures and their sort of masculine type look, but even like in the packaging too. The artwork has always been one of the biggest things that stand out within the toy line, and it's still something that stands out to this very day. So it's weird that they would want to kind of jump to this idea. I'm not sure, like, if this is for money reasons. They didn't really explain why exactly. They kind of just put it out there, and then, they're like, hey, later this year you might see a couple packages that might look AI. The artwork might look AI generated. And you're probably wondering, how can you spot that, right? And trust me, when it comes to artwork like that, they always have like a very same feel, like that weird sort of glossiness to it. Uh, you know, Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to spot, which that's kind of the most annoying thing. I mean, the amount of times that I've been on Instagram, I've seen some artwork and I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool, and then it shows that it's AI generated, and I'm like, come on, you know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say I'm not with this idea. So while going over it, they say that the software that they're using, Adobe generative AI software called Firefly, which I'm just gonna say it. What the hell's with these companies coming up with these weird names? I don't understand. First, you got Google with Gemini, and Amazon, they got one called Rufus. Rufus, that's name of a dog, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure Instagram and Facebook has one too, but if I don't know, honestly, I didn't really care, to be honest, to really look into it. I just mostly wanted to talk about this thing with Mattel because I'm just saying, it boggles the mind, if I'm being honest. Like, I really, really don't like this. And the weird thing to also talk about is that they showed off the picture of the San Diego Comic Con exclusive Too Bad. And I was like, why are they showing off that packaging? So I'm like, is that AI generated? To add some context, basically, Too Bad was a villain from the old He-Man TV, cartoon. And, it's a long awaited figure people wanted for a long time, and some controversy was stirring up because you got the Ninja Turtles and He-Man's crossover the Turtles of Grayskull, and there's a brand new figure called Two. I forgot what it's called. Two Bebop Rocksteady or Two Bop Steady, something like that, right? And it's basically the same idea by combining Bebop and Rocksteady into two characters. So that's basically what Two Bad was. It was basically two guys combined together. But the thing is, though, I was a little bit like off-putted by like the packaging and all that. I was like, wait, why are they? Because like they're putting so much of an emphasis on it, showing it off and all that, but they don't say specifically that's AI generated. So that means one of two things: either the artwork was generated by Firefly, or maybe this is going to be like the last time we see like some actual official artwork that somebody, you know, put a lot of effort into it. Like, I'm sorry, like I get that stuff like that takes some time, but again, I don't know. It says a lot about your integrity, if I'm being honest with you. It doesn't really look like a, you know, I feel like for the average collector, they probably wouldn't really care because they also emphasize too that, you know, when we were kids, we used to just throw out the packages, whatever, we didn't really care, you know, even though a lot of that's changed now, you know, you got this and that going on. I was like, no, but like, wait, hold up. That's not the same thing though. An adult collector, you know, I mean, you collect. I mean, I'm just gonna give you guys an example. You know, I mean, I got this still mint condition turtle. I got Donnie here. I mean, I'm just saying. You think when they design the characters as weird and goofy as they look, we're not judging it by like the art style. We're just judging it by like, you know, like being hand drawn or doing it on a computer, digital, whatever. You know, because digital art and AI art, that's obviously two different things. You know, you're basically telling the computer to do the job for you. That's all that it really is. I don't need to really explain it. The point I'm trying to make though is that, you know, imagine the effort that was put into making these. You know what I mean? It would be kind of a slap in the face to know that now you're getting a machine doing it for you. So of course it comes to the question of, you know, monetary gain. It's like, is this like a money issue? Is there just not enough money to just pay the artist to do it or whatever? Because I would assume that for a big company like this, I mean, if they're still pumping out, you know, He-Man figures here and there, you would assume that there wouldn't really be too much of an issue. I mean, have you seen Playmates lately with their packaging? It is nuts. I mean, they put so much effort, not just into their turtle figures, but also their Godzilla stuff as well. I mean, come on now. One of the biggest things that pops up, you know, even if the design is very basic or so, at least they're still using original art of the characters themselves. I can't really imagine a computer doing it, and even then it's not even perfect anyway, because if you try to, you know, generate a picture of someone, whatever, we all know how that goes. There's always that weird art piece where like the person has like an extra finger for some odd reason. And the thing is though, the way that it works is that it's not creating original artwork. It's just literally taking it from some other source and combining it, you know. So it's like, yeah, somewhere at the back of your head you're thinking, I feel like I've seen this before. So that's kind of how it goes. So it's like, it kind of feels like a ripoff in a way, and it is stealing, like plagiarism at its finest. Like, I'm just gonna say it. This is why so many people online are very against it, including me. You know, I draw, you know, and all that, and I'll get to that in a bit because that's more of a personal thing. But like, but let me talk a little bit more about He-Man, because look, during San Diego Comic-Con, they announced a lot of figures. I mean, we're talking like more Turtles of Grayskull. They're going into like Snake Men phase, which is super cool. Oh, that Lord Hiss is going to be very hard to find. I'll say that for sure. You know, and then they announced more, you know, new Eternia figures, which looked really nice. And the thing that bothers me the most is that towards the end or so, they say to expect these to hit store shelves in the coming months, which I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, most of these figures you announce are not going to come out till like next year. So I'm like, I hope we're not talking like the fall, you know, Turtle Grayskull stuff. Like, I really hope not, because for the most part, that stuff definitely seems original. So I'm like, okay, a little bit stuck, a little confused. So, all right. Because, like I said, when it comes to AI generative images, it's usually not too hard to spot, like, you know, what's the real thing and what isn't. Because most of this stuff, obviously, it's not perfect. It's still being kind of experimented on in a way. You know, it's still not perfected. But if that's the case, then it's probably not a good idea to do it. You know, I mean, you don't see Hasbro doing it with their G.I. Joes or their Marvel stuff. Okay, I get for Marvel, they kind of cheat a little bit because they could just very easily use the artwork from the comics and all that, but at least they have the rights to it, and they do figures based off of those comics. So it's not like that they're just ripping off Marvel by just taking pieces of their artwork. No, that's not the same thing. But with the G.I. Joe Classifieds toy line, they actually have to put effort into, creating their characters, And like I said, whether it's doing it as a 2D drawing or just digital art, you know what I mean? That's still a lot of effort, a lot of thought that's put into it. You don't really get that when a computer is doing the job for you. So that's why I can't help but question what's Mattel's goal here. I also like that during their article they say that they got some compelling packaging. So I can only assume that they were probably testing it out and they were like, "Yeah, this looks cool, right?" And it's like, I don't know. It's like my biggest fear is that if we get like a new He-Man figure, the artwork is gonna be like He-Man, but like the way that it looked, they probably stole it from like Conan the Barbarian or something. I don't know. I get like that kind of feeling because look, you can't tell me that a character like He-Man has never existed. I mean, come on. Again, Conan the Barbarian pops up to mind. I mean, I don't know who came first. If I'm being honest, I'm not. I don't know too much about Conan, but you get the idea. I think you guys know what I mean when it comes to like borrowing and all that. Not to mention like fan arts and all that. What's gonna happen with that? What's gonna happen with that stuff that's already posted online? Because a lot of artists on Instagram, they were pissed, and I don't blame them. Because they're all worrying that their stuff is gonna be taken and then it's gonna be part of this AI algorithm. So it's like, of course, it's gonna be a big, huge complaint. And the problem is that it's something that can't really be stopped. I mean, it can be. It's not the end. No, don't think of it like that. Don't think that this is going to stop you from drawing and doing what you want and all that, But I'm just saying, this is definitely like one huge misstep that a lot of artists were afraid, was gonna happen. You know what I mean? I mean, it was inevitable that we were going to get stuff like this, but I would have never expected in a long time that toy companies out of all of them would try to get involved in this, especially from Mattel, man. Like, come on. I know they've done some stupid stuff, like that time that they were going after YouTubers because they leaked a couple of Jurassic World figures, which, by the way, Jurassic World came out a long time ago. Can we not do this, Mattel? Come on. Listen, you're lucky I love your He-Man stuff, but even then, I can't even enjoy that anymore. Come on. The figures are hard enough to find as it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, do you know how great this looks? Like, come on. There's just something about it. It's so much fun. Why they gotta make most of these Mattel creations exclusive, I don't know, but whatever, And that's the thing. We could be complaining about that, There's obviously other stuff to complain about, but this Firefly AI thing that they came up with, this is not helping. This is not great. And I know what you're thinking, right, Josh? How would you know, right? Now, I've mentioned it maybe a couple of times. I don't talk about it much. I do draw. I create my own characters. I hope to one day make a comic book. I didn't want to do this because it's kind of early for this, but I do create my own characters and all that. This is still a little bit in the rough kind of phase and all that. This is my artwork basically in my binder. I have a lot more, but I'm just saying all this stuff that I draw here, this is my favorite one actually. This nice little forest that I drew here. You think this was done by a freaking computer? Do you know how long it took me to draw this? Now, I understand that's what companies are looking for, not something that's fast and quick. But I'm just saying, I get that not every artist is fast, but like, not all, yeah, okay, fine. You might be saving some money in the process, but you're also hurting a lot of jobs. You're taking away opportunities. So I really hope that it doesn't get to that point. And I understand this is only the packaging. It's not like they're gonna do some weird stuff to the figures, but it's the same thing. And Mattel is a prime example because, of course, think about it. I mean, like at most their packaging, especially with their old figures and like, I mean, I don't know. Should I really count Barbie in this equation? Should we really? I'm just saying, packaging pops. Like, you see it from a mile away. If it's not the figure that catches your eye, it's going to be the packaging, that logo, the way that it just pops up. I'm not really sure how you can really achieve that, but I guess only time will tell. Because for all we know, maybe this could be bogus. Maybe this isn't real. Maybe I'm complaining for nothing. And to share something, you know, eh, yeah, I mean, this article is about, I want to say maybe by next week, it's probably about a month old. So you're probably thinking, why are you talking about something that's a month old? Because I thought by then more people would be talking about this. Nobody's talking about this like at all, and I'm like, really? Like nobody? Is it because it's Mattel? Like I don't understand. It's like this just kind of flew under the radar, and I'm like, no. I feel like more people should be talking about it and to be a little bit more open about it because it's important, at least for me. That's the one thing that just catches the eye of a toy collector. And by doing this, it just sucks something away. It's like, no, now you're just making me want to throw away the package. Why would I want to keep it at that point? No, it's not original. Like, come on. You know how much original artwork was made just for their like Revelations and Revolution figures alone? Not don't even get me started with that. In fact, I think that's about it. I pretty much made all the points I made. And again, not to toot my own horn, but this art right here, the stuff, this is me. I hand drew this, all of this, all this stuff you're gonna see here, you know. I mean, I don't want to give away too much because then I'd be spoiling like my own comics and all that. But you get the point, right? You think that it's no wonder why I take this so personal. I mean, come on now, like, come on. I stand corrected. All right, so that's about it. So hopefully the next video won't be super super upsetting, but like I'm not upset or anything like that. I'm just really 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 bummed out. But I would assume eventually when this starts to go full circle, people are definitely not gonna be too happy about it. So until then, that's about it for now. See you next time.